Hopefully fastest session of the day. The question and answer session, we've got lots of great prizes. Naveen, please stand up because you're the man behind all this. Naveen and all our sponsors, you can see them around. Thank you so much. They've come up with the prizes which include this and these things. So thank you. Lots of exciting moments for all of us. Let's call on our panel for the question answers. So that you're not embarrassed, we made you write down the questions. We've not corrected the spellings. I have not got my glasses, so I'll try and read what I can. But let's call on our panelists one by one to come on stage, please. Anthony, Colvin, Michelle, you can just come on stage. Give them a big hand so that we have some, instead of music, we have something to pass the time as they walk slowly, taking 45 minutes to get on stage. Colvin, stopping to talk and do an SMS. Go ahead. Michelle, please, in the middle. So we have a quota system, 25% female quota system in the subcontinent, so you have to be there. Okay, here's a list of questions. I'll ignore the ones which say, do you wear underwear? That's for you, Anthony. Okay, so there's some for Colvin, some for Michelle, some for Anthony, and Ravan, one for you which says my room number is 443. Please. Why are you laughing? You sent it yourself. Okay, guys. And then we'll open the floor and you can ask a few questions as well. And hopefully we'll give some, at least give one good prize today, if it's possible. Even if it's a client. Okay. Colvin, the first question is for you. How do we integrate branding with a business vision? See, you use big words like this night won't end. What should be an appropriate branding budget percentage referring to income or revenue? Please share your experience. It's a very complex question. You can read and answer at the same time.
It says, how do you integrate branding with the business vision?
I just said that. So you're doing what I did in my Marathi paper back in Mumbai. You just write down the question again for the answer when you don't have it.
Are you sure you're writing them? Okay.
Well done, questioner. Our esteemed guest has no idea what to say. 47 years in advertising. Numero uno, the most powerful man in Indian advertising, by the way. Please get people from the middle bench, I'm telling you.
So, just to drill it down into, where is Rajan? Rajan, where can I spot you? Okay, great.
He's so happy.
No, it's really about, firstly, the business vision. Now, I know you do an online platform in Mera Job, right? Mero Job. And on that platform, obviously, you've got a cost structure. It's an established brand. It's been operating for a couple of years. And what you told me, you hire or you have 85 people who work with you. So how do you set up a business vision, firstly? The first is you've got an existing company. There's a certain revenue pipeline which has been you've been getting for a couple of years. So that's really what the company does. But when you think of where you could take the company, that's how you set up a business vision. What you do currently is what you have. But vision is about looking ahead. What or how big can you make this company, and could you take this company into, say, India, for example? Because right now you're operating in a very small marketplace. You've got to try and expand it. If you currently get 8,000 people jobs in a year, if you come to maybe just Bombay, you'll get so many people are interested. Now you must remember the jobs which you create for people who are aspirants, they don't have to work in Nepal. They can work anywhere in the world. So if you set up a vision, the first thing is you should take away the boundary of Nepal. So that's one. So think beyond your current geography, because your platform is an online world. Just to put a perspective, why are you thinking only about Nepal? Think of going beyond your boundaries. And if the boundary is the internet, that takes you everywhere. So you could link up Indian techies from Bangalore to the Bay Area in San Francisco. Nothing prevents you, as long as you can create that platform. That's one element. Having set up a business or a vision for your company, how are you going to start building core values around the vision for that business? And therefore you come to branding. And in the branding world, It's finally you've got to figure out how you're going to deliver the promise which you've set out to do. And finally, you've got to deliver jobs for candidates. And those candidates, if they are satisfied with what you're doing or did for them, they're going to start talking. And that's what you can take into a social space. So branding is just not running an ad. That's the smallest part of branding. Branding is delivering the promise you so set out to achieve thanks to a vision which you have crafted. I don't know if that answers you. Should be an appropriate...
I think it's answered everything in advertising. It was 5 minutes. Is that okay, Rajan? Yes. Please say yes.
Yeah. On the percentage bit, it's not about a percentage, because if I say 5% or 10%, it's meaningless. It's to see across the structure of the business you've created, how much could you assign to marketing expenditure? You know, if I say 15%, but your company goes into bankruptcy, it's not great advice. So you've got to, you know, walk slowly, but walk continuously forward. Okay.
Okay. Very well answered. Request the guests here on the panel to not take longer than 2 minutes per answer, please. Because otherwise we can't understand what's going on after the third minute, frankly. Nisha, your question, can you give brands any advice on avoiding issue exploitation when attempting social awareness, as with the recent Pepsi protest commercial? Gavin? I'm sorry, this is a very male-dominated panel. All mics are working for some reason as usual. Gavin, come here and bring a ruler to spank you. Is that working?
Right. I think it's very, very important when we're looking at any issue to understand that these issues generally arise where a brand has operated outside of its vision or its promise. And we end up with a disconnect between what the brand is communicating and what it's actually doing. And that is where we find a huge level of reputational damage. And trust in the brand then is lost. And I know that we don't always have control, especially with multinationals like Pepsi. We don't have control over every single employee, over every action that is taken. But if we have created a brand culture and a very, very solid brand meaning and purpose, that should usually direct everybody as to the brand behavior that's actually required and avoid these sorts of issues in the first place. I know that we are in a contentious space here, but if we go back to the values, to the meaning of the brand, I think that's where we will find resolution.
All right, thank you, Michelle. There was no name attached to that. If whoever wrote that, if you want to ask anything quickly, no, please, thanks. Ma'am, I'm married, but thank you so much for the offer. These are too many questions. Ravi will have to spend the night here. He's left. Okay, Anthony, your question. How can you use local design context, culture, and make it relevant to global need? I'll repeat that. How can you use local design, context, and culture and make it relevant to global needs?
Very tough question.
That's a good enough answer for me.
I don't know the answer. Can we say that?
It's beautiful when I wish everybody would talk like that. Yeah.
For me, basically, from where we come from, becomes very important to come up with something which is authentic and original. And I mean original doesn't mean the only first time in the world original, but authenticity can come in. And because there's lots of scope in terms of basic human values, which we can come out in an authentic manner, which can feed the global audience. So like at one end we know that the world is flat and the world is an oyster at one end. You know, so because it will appeal to a much larger audience once it is true to itself. And I think that's where basically from who we are, which is our culture, we can come up with ideas and applications which are very authentic and globally appealing. And people will appreciate it. Does that answer?
I hope so. I was reading your next question as I'm going back in this order. Anthony, it's a very long question. I hope it's a yes or no question though. In our cultural context,
No.
most of brand communication is aspirational, such as Fair and Lovely and Due. However, how ethical and sustainable are these communications? How do I know if my brand needs aspirational or practical communication given our culture? I think my brand is not well positioned, which I want to change through our marketing communications, but I don't want it to be a radical step, as happens with repositioning. Can you help me smoothen the process?
Can we meet after this?
Would you like to try and answer it?
Business.
There's no name here. Anybody who's written this, would you like to put your hand up? Oh, they're two different questions.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Can you answer both together? Okay, so the first one is, in our cultural context, most of our brand communication is aspirational, Fair and Lovely, Due, etc. However, how ethical and sustainable are these communications? How do I know if my brand needs aspirational and practical communication?
I think when we're talking about Fair and Lovely, it's about brands taking advantage of people's aspirations in an absolutely incorrect way. I was using that term. As societies, I think we need to be, the word responsibility comes in, and brands need to be responsible. And that responsibility comes from value systems comes from vision, and everything runs down that path. But however, not all brands are alike, and some people take advantage of weaknesses and they make big money out of it. So that's
good enough.
Hello. Yeah, so Unilever, you have Surf versus White is, and Fair and Lovely equally does the same thing.
Little after, please. Please, my friend needs it. No more. Okay, second part of the question, which I made into one, and it goes like this. I think my brand is not well positioned. Actually, this is something you need to pay him for. I think my brand is not well positioned, which I want to change through our marketing communication, but I don't want it to be a radical step, as happens with normal repositioning. How can I smoothen the process? So, it's actually something you could charge.
I think most people, once they start developing their brands or they're established to a certain extent, are very, very afraid for change. So one of the biggest questions which each brand needs to ask themselves is a question which I pose to myself and to a lot of my clients. I say the why of what you do is more important than what you do. So answering the question why thoroughly in context to everything around you would lead the direction to what you should do. And if that requires a change, a radical change, then so be it. Because I think in a longer run, the chances of you failing and not being able to sustain your brand because the value systems or the question of why of your relevance does not hold true will eventually die. But there's no guarantee because your failures, there can be lots and lots of reasons to failures. So it's a difficult position to be as a client. But at the same time, when you answer the question why, I think you are in a very solid position to take good calls.
To get a better answer or longer answer, you have to talk to him personally on anthonylopez.com and we'll figure out some sort of transition. Right? Fair enough. Let's move to Michelle. Michelle, does it matter whether a business helps support another which is providing a social problem or a solution to a social problem out of an obligation rather than a desire to actually sincerely support a good cause? I'm so sorry, it's part of a sport we play here. It's called musical mics. No? No. Then Michelle, it's you.
There we go. Sorry, by now we've forgotten
the question. Does it matter whether a business helps support another which is actually providing a social awareness sort of solving a social problem out of an obligation rather than a desire to truly, sincerely support a good cause?
Yeah, I think it does matter. I think that whatever a brand does has to have an authenticity that is going to benefit the brand as well as the cause that it is supporting. We have to be careful here because obviously any good that is done has a positive effect. But if a brand is seen to be set dressing, there's this lack of authenticity. So when we are looking at uplifting, empowering, improving society, we believe strategically that there should be a brand alignment and that you should be supporting causes, collaborations, institutions that in some way have a connection to your brand, either to the product that you're, or service that you're delivering, or to your value system. So much better to align those than do what can then be seen as charitable work, because that is not sustainable. Whereas if you are doing something that is brand aligned, it is sustainable because that cause will be supported by your brand over a longer period of time. If you are just doing something out of obligation, it becomes a short-term charitable initiative, and then there's no strong brand connection either. So for building a brand equity, rather try and collaborate with a brand-aligned organization.
Okay, Colvin, this is to you, so you finally get to talk again. How can we build a brand so that it will firmly set in customers' mind? And what are the main components of a strong brand? Dinesh Chandra Bharti, is it? Dinesh, are you here? Can you just stand up? Because you want to hear the answer. You are Colvin. What are the components of a strong brand? How can we build a brand so it will firmly stay in the customer's mind?
So, what category do you work in, for example?
I'm working in the international business promotion department.
No, but I mean, do you work with
in telecom sector? In telecom, Nepal.
Telecom. So, do you? Is it a service?
Yeah, telecom.
So,
telecom.
if you take that service, and what are the values of the service? In telecom, there's a functional value. That means your connection must be good. That's one element of the brand. You know, deliver on the functional values which you so you know. For example, it could be network, or it could be pricing benefit, or it could be a host or suite of entertainment options on it. That's one. Two is, what emotional connect would you have with the customer? Why would he stay with you when Ncell will come along and be cheaper, or faster, or better, or in the region where or area where that person is, the connection is great. So you need to always build something which is an emotional bond with your customer through the entire journey cycle of when you got him, how you got him, how you going to keep him, and in that there are many things to do. So in that emotional journey, you have to, you know, go deep and understand where can I connect, how can I delight him, what can I do for him, which will make a difference and get some retention or stickiness, and therefore he talks about how happy he is. I mean, it's more complex than just the question, but that's how I would do it. There's a functional benefit and there's a emotional payoff which goes beyond just the functional benefit, all things being equal. I don't know if it answers your question.
Can I add one more thing? Actually, in Nepal, as a developing country, most of the people, they are very much price sensitive. And the most important, I think the most important emotion is the price, then all the service. All the time, the customer demands the cheap price. But this time there is like a cutthroat competition. In such condition, how can we build a strong brand?
So let me tell you, it's not about Nepal. I'm no different. I want a cheaper price, and if I can take my number with me, I'll go. So in India, what's happening right now, Reliance is launching a Jio, and it's got Airtel trembling. It's got Idea and Vodafone trembling. In fact, they're combining. So why is that so? Because they have offered a price point which is free for the first 6 months. I get fiber at home free. Why would I stay? So that's a real disruptor in a marketplace. So no amount of emotion is going to get you to stay. If you can number port, which is basically retain the number but go to a new service. The solution is only one thing. You've got to figure out what other strategic advantage or benefit you have which goes beyond the money. But my guess is when something is really cheap or free, people will move.
I'm cheap and free, I go nowhere. Okay, these are open to all panelists. There's no name mentioned. At what point is in a product's life cycle should a company review, revamp, and change its marketing to stay relevant? I think you began that to all three panels. To stay relevant, at what point in a product's life should they review and revamp their marketing strategy?
So I'll give you a quick one on this, just for Cyrus. If you start losing market share, you've got a reason. If you start losing value share, you've got a reason. And if your let's say frequent customers are moving or lapsing, you've got a reason. 3 quick reasons why you must reinvent, figure out what's going wrong and how can you change it.
Anybody else? Oh, Michelle, she's a woman trust her mics again. Michelle, I'm so sorry. It's Zuma. His policies are not acceptable here in the subcontinent for some reason. I'm sorry.
I think this is a sexist mic.
I think it is. Karen! You do only male parties, yeah?
I would go even a little bit further to say that you need to do research on an ongoing basis. And sometimes by the time you've started losing market share, it then becomes very difficult to play catch up and remain ahead of the market. So for me, it's about ongoing research to preempt any problem in that space.
Yeah, if you have something to say. If you don't, it's fine.
Hello. So the whole thing is about this, what my fellow panelists have been speaking about, that I think being ahead of the game is the most important. Because by the time the market is telling you that you're losing share, you are losing game. It's very difficult to recover once you are on a slide down. So the whole idea is about how do you stay ahead of time, and the complexities of today's time is that very few people get answers or get insights into doing those changes so that make a difference to holding your brand position where you are or going higher. And technology and communication platforms and all these things are.
Somebody's trying to comment. I'm sorry. Don't get distracted. Please, carry.
So all these things are basically disruptive in nature because even lots of experts in the world do not know the answers to what is being unveiled in context to behavioral changes or the way people are communicating and how it's going to affect your business. So constantly being immersed in what's happening will give you insights into how you should be managing your brand in that context.
Okay, the next question is in 3 parts, and it's for all 3. It is again about relevance. What kind of research information is needed in order to remain relevant? Can you specify? Anyone? You're talking about relevance all the time. What kind of research and information is needed in order to remain relevant?
For me, the most important thing is consumer insight. And insight goes beyond just findings about what people think and what they do. The brand that can actually go out there and find an insight that is a real human truth, that you say to yourself the moment you hear that, wow, it might be something that you've never thought about. It might be something that you're actually saying, I didn't realize that that's how other people also feel. Wow, that is a kernel of truth, authenticity, and insight that we can actually use. Because I genuinely believe that there is no more that one brand can do than another, than to understand that consumer better in a deeper way. So for me, it's about insight development.
Okay. The next part of the question, is it possible for a brand which is currently irrelevant to bounce back and become relevant? Don't look at me.
Is that to me because you're the MC?
No, it's to somebody who is not even here. But just for the sake of it, you can take it, Colvin. Come on.
Which category do you work in? Just so that I get some insight on why the question.
The question on the 17 questions on relevance. Who wrote them?
No, one question.
I'll repeat the question again. Is it possible for a brand which is currently irrelevant to make itself relevant?
Who wrote that? I just want to understand the category. It's not to. Who wrote that question? Is this from last year's?
It may be from Sushma Didi's campaign.
No, seriously, because if I know, I'm trying to think through your insight of asking the question. So, is there a category which is getting eroded or it's irrelevant?
Just to save time, lie and say it was you or somebody, please.
Okay, so how do you know something is irrelevant? Because it has no meaning anymore for you. That is as simple. Now, how do you find that out? Is through exactly what Michelle said. You have to have a pulse on your customer all the time. You will know if competition comes in or any other competing brand in the category enters and tries to reposition you, and if they are able to do so, that in itself will give you an idea that you are on the verge of extinction or irrelevance. So the question is, if that be so, you've got to look at your category and see how can you make a difference or change something or articulate yourself differently or identify a benefit which is equivalent to the new competing brand which has come up. I know it's all in the air, but that was the question.
Imaginary person, nobody here wrote it. Okay.
I think you're making this up.
You think I have the intelligence? My questions are always, I'm hungry. Can you help? Mr. Lopez, this one for you now. In a world where everything changes so rapidly, how can one ensure that whatever they are investing in will remain relevant and continues to remain relevant tomorrow and the day after? And are there indicators of relevance? And can you tell us what they are? So how do you continue to remain relevant, basically, is the point. Not just tomorrow, but forever.
Yeah, another difficult question.
You're telling me.
I know the answer. But large part of what you do is like when you do a brand strategy or a brand identity, I mean, it's never set for a few days or a few months. It is set for a lifetime. So they're all based on very strong vision and strong value systems. And if you look at value systems and if you look at vision as a statement, then these are all set for long periods of time. It's your day-to-day communication which has to be tactful. So advertising is constantly on a tactful platform that you want to increase sales, you want to reach out to your customer, and that basically brings in the context of that particular time. From a long-term perspective, it's all vision and brand in that sense. So on a day-to-day basis, basically your relevance is about how you're communicating at that point of time.
All right, 2 more questions quickly. Colvin, how do we break silos and get everyone's commitment to the brand? The mic.
So I think, if you're working with any service partner, I'm not going to say vendor or whatever. The first thing what I would do is get anybody who has or plays any role in the formation of that brand or the development of that brand, you have to get them into what we used to call, or what my company did, is a day one scenario. Basically, anybody who has anything to do with that brand or category has to be in the room. The second is, that's what I do currently with my current consulting. I get everybody, it doesn't matter who's delivering what element or what part of that solution. I want them all in the room. And then there is one brand, one mission, one vision. It is not divergent. You're not going to try and eat mine or move my cheese and I'm not going to try. You have to be agnostic and stay with the brand. Get them into the room, onto the same side, the same page, the same platform. And if anybody doesn't conform to that, they have to be taken out of the team. It's like cricket. If 2 people are batting for themselves and 9 people are playing for the country, chances are you're going to lose the match. So you've got to get everybody together. And once you do that, you've got to set up the role for the brand, what it's going to do. There's an offline world, there's a brick and mortar world. Their roles have to be dispassionately shared. But if they're not on the same side, please take them out of the team. be assertive on this. You don't have to be ruthless or aggressive. You have to take them out of the team. If somebody is not playing the team game for that brand, the only purpose then is to save the brand or to grow the brand. Or the brand is beyond everything. So if somebody doesn't behave, goodbye, nice movies in town, go spend your day in the movie hall.
Follow-up question, who are the two cricketers who are batting for themselves? Can you name them?
Yes.
Will you name them?
This is on camera or off camera?
What do you think? Alright, one last question. How do we keep up with the changes in social cultural environment, which is dynamic, and how do we incorporate that into marketing strategies? Michelle? Changes around, how do we incorporate?
Yeah, I think obviously it's very difficult to keep up with everything. But again, if you are properly connected with your consumer, your stakeholder group, it's important again to hear from them rather than just trying to sift through thousands of options that are available. Focus on them and what they are relating to, what they are using, and focus yourself on those platforms. Obviously, you do need to, have an awareness broader than that. But if you are just trying to, work across these multiple platforms with no purpose, you are going to get lost. So I think it's critical, again, that what works very well often is panels of consumers, stakeholder groups, this collaboration instead of always the marketing department acting in isolation. You have to collaborate with people outside to remain current.
Cyrus, can I add something?
Please, don't ask me, I have no role here.
Go ahead, maybe anchor. So basically, social media and digital media are medias basically unlike other medias which are very expensive on a day-to-day basis, on every bite you put across. According to me, basically it allows a very large scope of experimentation. You can try something out because these are all medias which gives you measure of everything you do. You know how many number of clicks are happening, how many responses you're getting, etc., etc. So you can try experimenting because nobody knows the real answer in terms of how does your brand should behave in a particular medium. So I think first of all, try and stay as relevant as possible in terms of what's happening around, speak the language, blah blah blah. But keep trying because you can just withdraw something and not run it beyond that particular moment. So it's very forgiving in that sense.
Okay, last question to Colvin. What do you mean by positioning in the bedroom? No. What do you mean by positioning the brand, and how does the positioning affect the brand value? And this is by Manoj Dahal. Manoj from HT, I think. Manoj, are you there? Manoj,
So that's a big question, by the way, a long answer. You'll have 10 minutes, right? But I'll give it to you from the last brand I did for a brand out of Nepal, Kathmandu, YY noodles. The task was, how do you take YY noodles from here, Nepal, and the northeastern states of India into India, right? What we call the rest of India. And the target was Maggi noodles. And Maggi has always been children saying, "Mommy, I'm hungry," 2 minutes, instant noodles. So Maggi was always ready to eat. So our role was, when you looked at the formulation of YY noodles, actually YY noodles was pre-cooked. So it's the true ready to eat, right? And we had to now reposition Maggi. So Maggi had to be ready to cook because it still takes 2 minutes, whereas this was ready to eat. So that was the first part of the positioning. The second is the audience. Mommy, mommy, I'm hungry. The fact is, most of the mommy, mommy, I'm hungry market was coming from old fat men who were now 40 and 30 because Maggie's been around for 25 years. So that mommy, mommy doesn't work any longer. So we said, let's go for a youth audience, which is 18 to 22, 24. Either collegian, first year, second year, third year, first jobber. And this brand, therefore, the second part of the positioning was the audience. The third was in the geography. Where do we position it? You never have unlimited funds. So we dropped the south because we couldn't afford it. We picked up 3-4 critical markets which we could service from a distribution, manufacturing standpoint. So that's how we started the process of positioning. And finally, it's about what's in the mind. So the thought of you can munch it, lunch it, and soup it. Because you can take YY, crush it, put some nimbu in it, lime, onions, or you can have it straight. It's anytime, anywhere. So you can go to a movie hall, you don't need hot water, you don't need your mummy, you can just take it, crush it, and eat it. So that was the munch it. So it displaced all snacks, wafers, whatever. You could lunch it, you could add veggies, or you could have it with just hot water, or you could soup it, put a lot more. And the theory of this munch it, lunch it, soup it is something you want to establish in the mind. So positioning is just not the mind, it's geography, it's audience, it's what your wherewithal is, what your marketing budget is. And then as you keep distilling it, you've got to understand how you're going to reach the young people, so that's a part of positioning. Which channels will you use to amplify a message? So it keeps building on. Positioning is not a simple thing, but you have to give up. We never said that all children from 2 to 102 should have Maggi noodles or YY. No, we defined it 18 to 22 or 18 to 24. Critical bullseye. Which market? Which geography? What price point? What is the health benefit? Is there a price equation? With YY noodles for 10 rupees, that's 300 rupees in a month, you can feed yourself. So you have one good meal at home every day, 300 rupees. So there's a functional benefit, there's an emotional payoff, it's comfort food, so it continues. And you have to keep crystallizing, distilling, writing. It's not a simple answer that I'll position it as a snack. No, it's many things which create position. But the sacrifice in that is what you need to think about. Babies gone, grandparents gone, old people gone, psychographically people who don't fit out, and that's how you keep building it. Thank you.
Very short answer, and you didn't tell them how you first built it. The strategic planning was to keep it as an aphrodisiac?
Yeah, but it gets you put in hot water.
Stop. All right. One last question. This is, I think, can you take this one, please? Mr. Anthony Lopez. What do you think is the future of newspapers? You guys get this all the time. What is the future of newspapers and TV in terms of advertisements in the future? What's going to happen in newspapers and TV?
Time will tell.
No commitment. Colvin, you want to pick it up? Or Michelle?
I'll say something because it's addressed to me. So this is a question which is very old for both television and newspaper. And so when digital media came and became very, very strong, the newspapers are going to die. But they didn't die. And they're suffering. And they need to reinvent in terms of how they should stay contextual to the information they're giving to the audience. Because the digital medium basically has got its own limitations. And one is realizing that limitation. It's all about shortcuts and about very, very short messages.
I don't care if irrelevance is in that. So I don't read that. I'm just picking up a Twitter feed. I follow 20 or 30 Osiris people like him or influentials. And what they think is important to me. So that's how it works. So delivery is what you're talking about. It's only about delivery. So whether you read it off a tablet, your mobile phone, or your computer, what are you reading it off? You can actually read Times of India or whatever, any newspaper of the, no, I'm just giving that as an example. Because that's a if you see what you read, you can read Himalayan Times off the laptop. So does that not make it a newspaper? Well, it's news. Paper is like, screen.
So paper dies, the news stinks. Michelle, anything to add? Again, this is a question you get at every single conference you do.
Yes, I'm fortunate in that I come from a country where newspapers still have a very, very high value. So the answer for me is quite easy. We don't see the death of the newspaper. We obviously see in the upper socioeconomic groups the social media, Twitter feed, etc. But I think we still need to consider the communities that consider the newspaper as something to be shared, something to be discussed. We see groups of people every single evening getting around a newspaper, discussing the detail. And it is not just informative, it's educational as well. And so in many communities, the newspaper actually is an aspirational product. I want to be able to read, I want to be able to share what's in that newspaper. So Raveen, I think you better come and open an office with us for a while.
And you can see South Africa from the top of the Himalayas.
Just to add a point, if you ask young people today, do they sit in front of TV? The answer is no. Do they read newspapers? The answer is no. They're getting their news elsewhere. They don't need a television screen.
No, but it depends on the economic group, as she mentioned. There are people who don't have access to all
They have.
things.
They know where to get. I can tell you the poorest person has enough money for mobile now, especially in India. I'm not giving an Indian example, because it's free. In India, mobiles are free.
Well, if this goes on, South Africa and India will go to war, so I'll stop it right now. And we'll thank our panelists. We've been pulling their legs, they've been very unassuming, but they're all legendary people in their own right. So let's show them a round of applause and a lot of respect. Alvin, Michelle, and Thank you guys, go back to your seats. We have one speaker left before I introduce him. We have a lovely voucher, lunch for two at Garden Terrace Restaurant. And we're giving it to a gentleman there because we realized he couldn't see anything from this table. So Rohit, this is for you. Take your girlfriend stroke, whatever friend stroke, or his or her friend, and enjoy yourself. Yeah, cheers. Taxes apply.